Good afternoon. Hear me? Okay, not sure if everybody can hear me, but um, if you can, just give me a heads up in the comments section, uh, so that way uh, I kind of know, like, hey, I'm getting this. Um, it's been a while. I was gonna do it tomorrow, but I got some stuff going on, so I got family that's going to be here, and uh, I am not at home in Yucca, Nevada. I am currently in Madera, California, visiting my dad, my family members. Uh, my dad is going through some stuff, pre-surgery things, and I was just here hanging out with him, trying to help him take care of that, get some stuff done. But yeah, it's been a minute. We're here now. Uh, we're going to be talking about life and what our concept of what we believe life is, on different aspects of spirituality, religion, cultures, uh, things that we have heard uh, growing up as human beings, individuals, because we are all different. We are not the same. And uh, just wanted to get everybody's ideas of what they feel, what your ideas, what you feel that life is to you, uh, and anybody. I mean, our ideas are uh, what shape us uh, as a society, and ultimately, this is one of the things I feel that we need to break as a society in order to see beyond the things that have blinded us as human beings through uh, our nationalities, our cultures, our races, um, our ethnicities. All these things are just a farce. They are just a means to distract us from the bigger picture, as it was. But let me know what you think in the comments. I am live on Facebook on my profile page, Raul Samaripa. I am also live on Seeker of the Unknown. I will also be live on YouTube. So if you want to comment on the video and leave a message, you can go to the YouTube page, Seeker of the Unknown, and comment there. But let's go ahead and get this thing started the way we usually do, and I'll see you back in a few minutes. Stay tuned. All right, so we're back. Um, as I was saying earlier before we started, is that one of the things that I have always told everybody, if you are new to this page and you are new to uh, seeing or being a part of the podcast, is that I always tell everybody anything that we put out or I put out on the podcast, please research it, look into it, find something that you can relate to or search on the topic. And usually I'll put things on there, but um, since a lot of things have changed and I've been moving around and trying to get things done, I've had to just use my phone. So I'm not really able to mess around and put links or put videos or put web pages or sources into the uh, the podcasts themselves. But today, what I wanted to talk about, because this kind of hit hard for me right now. I don't know if anybody can hear me. Does that sound good? Is it too loud? Do I need to turn it down? Okay. Um, um, the reason why I say this is kind of hitting home is because we are all, my generation, the Gen X kids that grew up in the 70s and the 80s, we are finding ourselves in the position of becoming or taking the place of our parents, of our aunts, our uncles. Um, we are in the position of being in the spot where we are seeing life through our parents' eyes, so to speak. Um, One thing that has really culminated with these events for me is, you see a lot of times people talking about, you know, don't put off tomorrow what you can do today, cherish every moment because tomorrow is not promised to anyone. Um, uh, get yourself right with your creator, your God, or whoever they are, whoever you believe in. And, uh, because you never know what's going to happen with your life or things that could happen. You might not be here, or whatever. And anybody that knows me knows that I am not, I grew up religious, and I was baptized Catholic. And then I grew up in a Christian home. My father and my mother were both Christians. And so my outlook on life was based on that whole aspect of seeing that uh, the world through that lens of that aspect of everything in my life revolved around that. But as I was growing up, I mean, inside of me, something just seemed off. It seemed different. I questioned everything. Are we alone in the universe? We can't be, because something inside of me was telling me there's more out there. Question everything. Everything that we know as history and everything that we know in life is not what they have told us. It is just a bondage trap. It is just something that they have just told us to say, oh, well, let's just feed them this stuff, let them shut up. And if they start questioning everything, then we're going to deal with it, because then you're going to become labeled as and I hate this term, conspiracy theorist. And anybody that has been watching the show as long as it's been around, and it's going on its second year this December, is that I do not like the term conspiracy theorist, because that was phrased in the 60s and the 70s during the Vietnam era, and during the time of NASA, and during the time of Roswell, and during the time when things were coming out. People were starting to question and understand that the government was hiding things, and they were not actually telling us the truth. They were not giving us all the information. So I tell everybody, please, if it seems wrong or it seems off, it's probably your inner mind, your inner spirit, your third eye, yourself, your consciousness telling you to question it. And we have all been programmed to think that we should just go with the flow. We should just do what we're told. We should just go ahead and just get in line and just be quiet and be happy with what we are dealing with now. And for me, excuse me, And for me, going through life, it has always been the challenge of questioning everything, questioning life, questioning everything that is historically the historical narratives, the ancient histories, technologies, ancient origins, um, the question of whether or not we are alone in this universe, the question of whether or not that death is the end of life, or do we go to heaven or do we go to hell, or do we actually regenerate ourselves and we come back based upon our karmic decisions that we choose in this life. So this is why I called this episode Life and What It Is. What is it? What do we see life as? Now, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, this is just me. This is me talking about the subject matter. And I wish that everybody or anybody who would like to come onto the podcast would question or talk about subject matter with me. If you've got questions during the process of this podcast, please, by all means, leave the comments in the section or leave a comment in the comment section and let me know what your thoughts are, what you feel like is really going on. And as I said, do not take what I am telling you as I am trying to tell you that this is hardcore proof, this is just the way it is, and everything else is wrong. No, that's not what I'm doing. I've never decided or never um, been one to put that on any of my viewers or anybody who has watched the podcast since the time it started. But I've always just wanted to put the seeds of ideas of what is going on, what is happening out there. Man, I swear, these Tampico waters are addictive. I got my dad hooked on them because he's got to watch his diabetes and his water intake. So he's been snacking on sweet stuff. So I've been getting him off of the sodas. He loves these things. Um, but anyway, um, so the narrative of what is life. And I'm going to talk from a perspective of myself based on things that I have witnessed or I have gone through or things that I have looked into, read, or I have searched regarding cultures um, and how they view life in terms of what it is that we go through every day and how we are perceived to deal with these things on a daily basis from the time we are born until the time we die and we transition back to where we came from. All right. So, like I said, follow along with me and follow along with me. And as I said, please do not take this as me trying to tell you that these are facts. This is my perspective of what I feel, what I have researched, and what I've looked into, and what I have uh, gathered enough to where I myself feel comfortable with saying, this is my path. This is my road to this understanding that I feel comfortable with. So we all know that we are born into this world. We are conceived into this reality of life as we know it. Um, we do not know anything about life except for what we have been told or what we are learning through the process of life from our parents, through school, family members, things we read, things we see on TV, things that we hear on the radio or hear from other people or hear in conversations. Basically, what we are doing is we are going through life and we are taking all of this information, we are processing it, and we are saying, this is what I know of. This is what is shaping me in my process in my mind to be able to form conclusions of theories, of beliefs, of ideas, um, but we really don't know for certain unless we have seen it, dealt with it, or actually touched it and handled it, or gone through it and experienced something to where we go, okay, I am understanding now more so about what this is regarding death, regarding fear, regarding loss, regarding pain, suffering, things of this nature. So, what we perceive as life, and I am talking from the point of view of someone who has awakened to the notion or the idea that what I used to believe or think of as life and what it is not what I am savvy to right now, because I see life in a different point of view. I see it from a different perspective, not as the same as I did before. Uh, I call it the awakening. It sounds really weird, but I don't want this. I don't want anybody to take it as a weird thing. For me, I call it the awakening because it's a conscious awakening of me. This, what we see here, is not us. We perceive this as us because that is what we've been told that we are. That this flesh, this skin suit, this body, this temporary temple of our conscious is who we are. And from what I have read into and from what I have gone through in life and the awakening process of my mind, is realizing that this is not fact. This is just a deception key that we as human beings have to understand, that it was implemented on us to deceive us, to draw us away from what we are intended to understand, from the reality of knowing who we are and what we as human beings, okay, as light beings, as spirit beings, because that's what we are. This world is a matrix of false reality. Now I'm jumping a little bit ahead and getting ahead of myself here. That we see and experience and we go through the life altering dimensions of our senses, okay? And we perceive that to be reality of life. If I cut myself, I'm going to bleed. If I burn myself on a hot pan, it's going to hurt. If I break a leg, I'm going to feel that pain. If I'm going through something emotional, I'm going to feel some sort of way. It's going to cause a reaction out of it, because that is what my flesh, my mind, has been programmed to perceive as adequate responses. What if there was an alternate route, alternate reality, perception of the reality that we were meant to have and be a part of? We see this throughout different cultures and different regions of the world, where cultures deal with life responses and deal with life ideas and deal with ideas of what reality of the world and what life is. They don't perceive things the same. In Eastern Asia, you have Buddhism, Taoism. In India, you have Hinduism, and the idea of karmic, uh, the choices that we make in this life that we will pay for, or we will be rewarded on based on what we do in this life and the afterlife, which is another culmination from Egyptian mythology. And I don't want to say mythology, but Egyptian culture of, weighing your heart with a feather, um, and seeing if you're worthy to pass on into the afterlife after you die based on the decisions and the things that you have done in this life. In European cultures, depending on where you're at, you know, death is seen as a celebration throughout cultures, as a way of transitioning from the things that we have battled in this world and transitioning on to the reality. It's a celebration of saying you are released from this and you go back to where you come from. Now, me personally, and understanding thoughts and the ideas of uh, reincarnation and the whole thing of karmic decisions and karmic influence and karmic idealism, me understanding that from a personal point of view has led me into the searching and the seeking of knowledge, or the understanding of what it is that we are here for. Because it seems like if there, I'm going to go back a little bit. If we, in religion, it talks about, there's this almighty God that loved us so much that he gave us the free will to make our choices. But if we make the wrong choice, that we are going to be damned to hell. And if we make the right choice, he's going to let us ascend into heaven. Now, you look at this and you say, okay, if you're going to tell me that you're giving me the free choice to choose something and be able to make that choice, but if I don't do what you ask me to do, then you are going to damn me to an eternal damnation, or you are going to receive me, and if I do the right thing, and allow me to ascend to eternal bliss and happiness. Now, this is kind of weird, because it's kind of like a parent saying, I love you, you're my child, but I'm going to beat the fucking shit out of you if you do something wrong. And if you do something wrong, that's because you made that choice. Now, that always sat wrong with me on a personal level, because I always thought that's kind of messed up. And as I started, after I got into the military and I started looking into Eastern philosophy, Eastern uh, uh, theoretical ideology, it started to make more sense to me. And I started looking, okay, well, if this is what they're saying throughout these other cultures and it's all jiving together, I started looking at what Joshua was saying in the Bible and looking at the hidden teachings and the message of what he was actually saying. It correlates and it lines up with what the Eastern philosophies say. Now, Paul Wallace, if anybody who's followed my page knows that I reference him a lot, because he has been one of the people who has helped me to understand a lot of this stuff and open my eyes to the reality of what has been hidden from so many people, because we have had this binding of fear, this inkling of punishment, that if we don't do something right, that we're gonna be punished for it. This is something that we are going to be damned for. But there is more to the story. There is more to the things that are going on. We know that if we, as human beings, we know that energy is forever. You can't destroy it. It just changes its form, and it changes the way it is, uh, uh, the way it manifests itself. So we know that If I close my mouth and I tell you, now this is just a practice that I've learned and I saw it, and it made real good sense to me. Now, I want you to do me a favor. If you're watching this podcast right now, I want you to not talk, but just think with your mind. Okay? And I want you to pay attention to what and how, what you hear. Now, I want you to think about a Dr. Pepper can. Okay? Can you see it? I want you to think about what color that Dr. Pepper can is without talking, opening your mouth, and say it in your mind. What color is that can? Think about what that taste makes you feel when you taste it. Say it in your mind. Don't open your mouth and talk, but describe it in your mind. The sensation, the taste that Dr. Pepper soda gives you when you're drinking. Now, also, I want you to take a moment. Don't talk, but just listen. I want you to think of the color of this shirt, or what the image is of this shirt, or what I'm wearing right here. Think about these objects that you're seeing. Don't say it, but talk in your mind about the color of my shirt, the object is on my shirt, and what I'm wearing on my neck. Now, if you were able to say these things and hear yourself in your mind and have that discussion with yourself, hearing your voice in your head, not talking, who is the one that's talking in your mind? That's you. This right here is not you. This is what we see on the outside. So if this reality that we are seeing on the outside is not real, and the reality of who we are is here, isn't it safe to say that what we are seeing in this world and we are living and experiencing throughout our life is just an illusion? It's a part of the matrix. It's a part of the life lessons, an experience from birth to death, a classroom. I've heard people express it as that we go through from learning through our life, these experiences, and then we die, transition back to the spirit world, and we go, man, I learned so much in this life. I've gone through so many things. I've experienced a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings, a lot of tragedy, happiness, sadness, love, affection, passion, hate, anger. That we realize that when we go through this life, you ever had those moments where you say, man, I wish I could have did things differently when I was younger because my life probably would have ended up a lot differently? That is an experience of you realizing that the choices that you make every single day affect the outcome of your life moving forward. You are subconsciously remembering that is what is going on. Because before we leave our ethereal plane, before we ascend from the universe from which we came, the cosmic consciousness, if you will, Our goal is to experience this life in all manner, shapes, and forms, from birth to death, choices that we make, decisions that ultimately outweigh our feelings, our emotions, that will decide how we are progressing forward in our lives. And when we pass on into the next realm, into the ethereal plane, we come to realize that the decisions that we make and the effects that it not only had on ourselves, but the effects that it had on everybody around us, or the people that we dealt with, that caused happiness, anger, sadness, whatever. We will see it through their eyes. We will see our decisions and the impact it had on people, and the weighing of our hearts to say that we are either worthy or we are not worthy to stay in this ethereal plane of existence after we have gone through this world. Is it kind of making sense now, what I'm saying, when I was talking about how cultures say that our decisions, our life that we live from birth to death, the things that we do ultimately outweigh what happens to us in the end? Because these things that we choose to do now determine our outcome in the end, which is a lot of what the ancient cultures were talking about, the cultures around the world say. Karmic decisions. If you, and I'm going to be blunt here, if you fuck up your life here, do things that are shitty, ultimately you will have to answer for it in the end, and you will have to redo it again in the next life. That's just the way it goes, because you cannot live in eternal bliss and happiness with a guilt conscious, with your eternal consciousness being weighed down by the things that you did. You must release that weight. You must release the bondages of those grievances, those pains, and the turmoil that you caused in this life, in order to be free of it and say, you know what, I did everything I could. I am really not wanting to come back and experience this life again, because I did what I needed to do. I learned the life lessons, I accomplished them, and I fixed it. That to me made more sense of what I was learning and what I was seeing growing up, and realizing now, not only through uh, my uh, things that I experienced with my, and finding out about my reincarnation stage of my life, that was just an eye opener for me to say, okay, well, everything that you felt in your life, experience, has, it's, there's validation here. We need to look into this. So that's what I did. That's how I felt. That's what I experienced. And it's always different for somebody else, and it's always different for everybody. My experience is not going to be the same as yours, which is the cool thing about it, because we are all individuals. Not one, two of us are the same. The choices that you make on a subject matter that might be similar to what I have gone through is probably not even going to weigh close. But you can possibly say, oh, well, I've dealt with something like this, man, and this is how I handled it. And I hope that you take this knowledge and information that I'm passing on to you and use it. That is a possibility. And that's why when we say, you know, I've learned this life lesson, I want you to learn from my mistakes. And we try to pass that on to our children. And we're always trying to tell them, we want you to be better than what we were. We want you to progress and have a life that is better than what I had when I grew up. Because essentially, our children are a part of the essence of who we are. Now, I've had people ask me, well, do the effects of the things that I've done in this life affect my children? Yes and no. If you come from an alcoholic family, does that ultimately mean that you're going to be an alcoholic? No, but it does influence how you see things. But the choice is ultimately yours. You choose to pick up that beer or that alcohol or those drugs or those cigarettes or that porn or whatever it is that has been influenced to you and say, I'm going to choose to do this. Now it can become an addiction and ultimately affect your life, but the choice is ours. The choice is ultimately up to us individually. You, me, anybody else can say, damn, I shouldn't have done this, but it was my choice. I chose to make this outcome of my life. I chose to do these things. I should have done it differently. That is where the learning process comes in. Now, if we keep repeating these mistakes and we don't learn from them, ultimately, when we pass and we transition into the cosmic consciousness or the cosmic pool, ocean, whatever you want to, we will return to the essence that is everything. Now, we will see that we did not fully grasp the notion of, I didn't learn from this, I didn't understand, I continued to do the things that I was doing, and ultimately, I did not learn my lesson. I need to come back. I want to try this again and fix this, not only for myself, but for the people that I infected around me, for my kids, my loved ones, for the people that I loved, I fell in love with, that I thought I loved, I hurt, and I damaged, and I bruised, and I want to make this right. And it goes back into, like I said, the generational curses thing. This is where we get into the religious aspect of things. For me, because people say, well, generational curses are things that are passed down from son to father or from father to son and son to son and so on and so on and so on, and it's going down the line. And that's where I say before, it is ultimately a thing of choice. Either choose to keep going on with the cycle that your family has put you around and had you see, and you felt that ultimately I'm going to try this beer or this alcohol or these drugs or this porn or this sex or this food or whatever it is, things that are hindering you from progressing. Is food an addiction? Fuck yeah. Is depression and not addiction, but is it a problem? Yes. Is loving somebody to the point where you are giving more of yourself than balancing it out and allowing people to abuse you a problem? Yes. Everybody's lifestyle is different. Everybody chooses to do things differently. So everybody's outcome in life is not going to be the same as somebody else's. You might have gone through the same thing as I did, but it ultimately doesn't mean that we have gone through the same experiences. Because my emotions and how I feel and the determination of how I choose to react to something is not the same as somebody else's. The experiences might have been similarly, but it's not the same because you don't know what I was thinking in that moment. You don't know what pushed me to make that choice. You don't know what I was doing or what I was saying to myself and here to ultimately guide me to do the things that led me on either a negative or a positive path. So life is different for everybody. The journey is not the same. It is ultimately everybody's decision, which is why it is stated in a multiple cultures. I don't care about the religious aspect because it is all the same. But people don't see it that way. They just go based on what somebody is telling them. Oh, well, this is what it is. And if you don't follow this, this is wrong. Please break free of that mess. Stop with it. It is ridiculous. It pains my heart because people are so bound up and they are so caught up in this narrative that holds them in bondage mentally, spiritually, that they just basically do what they're told. They don't want to look outside the box. They just keep going with the narrative because these people are telling them that this is what it is and it is wrong. And people that are waking up and realizing that the notions of what is really happening, we try and tell people, look, listen, please just understand there is more to the picture of what we've been told that will set you free, that will ultimately give you answers. The answers, there's more to the equation for the answers that's out there. And I just say, like I've said at the beginning of the podcast, don't take my word for it. Research this. Research this. I look at things with different eyes. What I had when I was growing up, because not only just the experiences, but everything just came together at a point in my life where I had to say, holy shit, this makes sense. I've been here before. I've seen this. Okay, what do I got to do now? Now I've got to start gaining my consciousness back, understanding, becoming aware of what I used to know in my past life and making me wake up, making me see, making me remember that everything that I thought that was perceived through this false reality of everything that I'm seeing and trying to erase my brain. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody. I don't know if anybody is understanding what I'm saying or realizing what is going on. But there are a lot of people who are out there that realize this, that see this, that experience this on a daily, and they think, "Fuck, I'm alone. I, nobody's going to understand me if I'm saying this because they're going to think that I'm a freak. They're going to think I'm weird. They're going to lock my ass up. I'm just going to be labeled as a blasphemer, a heretic in my church because I choose to question the narrative because this is always sat wrong with me." And I say to those people, if you're feeling that way, if this is what you feel personally, you're not alone. There's many of us who have gone through this. And it is a liberating experience. But not everybody is going to go through it because their mind is bound to this false reality, this false sense of this deception that has trapped everybody here to the reality that this is not what and who we are and what we are meant for. And those of us who are waking up that have felt it our whole life that come to the knowledge and understanding the idea that what these great teachers, what these great philosophers, what these great people were trying to bring this knowledge of awakening and coming into the kingdom of God, or coming into the reality or elevating our consciousness of man, were trying to tell us. They were trying to awaken us from the deception of what we're seeing and saying, hey, you can't serve two masters. As above, so below. As below, so above. One of the greatest quotes that really stuck with me, and I don't know why, maybe it's something from a past life, but it was the Egyptian phrase that said, death is only the beginning. It is but a doorway that we step through to leave this path that we have perceived all of our lives on, to go into who we really are. Because what we see day in and day out is not really us. This is just a learning experience. This is just a pathway for us to say, man, I've experienced love, I've experienced hate, I've experienced anger, I've experienced all these emotions, all these physical ailments, these disabilities, the heartache, the pain, the grievances, all of this stuff. I've gone through having money and not having, gone through being able to have a job and not have a job, and not having a family and not having a family, having kids and not having kids, going through near death experiences or going through sickness and happiness and sadness. These are learning experiences for each and every one of us. And for each and every one of us, as I said, is a different matter. But when you come to understand that I am traveling on a pathway, that ultimately I am trying every single day by the choices that I make to do the right thing. It may be wrong. I don't know, but I'm learning. My end goal is to get to the end and say, I did it. I've experienced this. I've learned more about who I am, what I am capable of. Have I ultimately learned my life lesson? Am I able to be at peace with myself, knowing the things that I did in this realm, this existence, this plane of reality, and say, I am comfortable with what I have done? Or am I going to be faced with the decision to say, I need to fix it? I need to make this right, because I am not going to be able to sit back and say, you know what, man, I'm good with what I did. I don't care if those people are hurting that I screwed over. Okay, with, you know, being the person that I was. I don't care if I hurt anybody. I don't care if I made a poor decision, and I don't care if it affected anyone else, because ultimately you can't do that. You can't do that, because what in the world would you be hiding? What would you be? You would be sitting there trying to think that you were okay. You're lying to yourself. So yeah, you're gonna have to come back and redo it again. You can't just sit back and screw up this life and think you're going to be able to screw up the afterlife. It doesn't work that way. And that's what I think that Yahshua was trying to tell everybody. was that, you know, you can't serve two masters. You can't be searching for righteousness and on the same hand try to store up your treasures on this earth because you're going to die. You can't take this crap with you. You can't do things here on this earth and think, oh man, this is great. And it's going to happen to where you can bring it over into the afterlife. I struggle. I think about these things every day. Am I doing the right thing? I wish I could. I can't go back and change things. I can't do it because the past of the past is gone. I made those choices. But at least I can say, I know I should have did something different. Acknowledging, acknowledging the decision, acknowledging the issue that led to those things. There are a lot of things in this life that I know about myself that I need to change. Am I perfect? Fuck no. Am I going to get it right? I hope I do. And I don't care if it takes me the next 20 lifetimes to get it right. I hope it doesn't take that. I hope it doesn't. I hope that it takes me a little bit less than that to get this shit fucking figured out. But there are things that I now that I've come to realize and understand that this is how it is, and this is how it should be. And I'm waking up to the fact of realizing, okay, now I see what's going on. Then I can be able to fix it again and understand and be better, not only for myself, for my kids, for the people around me, the people in my life, the people that know me, the people that have encountered me or experienced, uh, the people that I've loved in my life, that I've hurt, that I've wronged, that I've made feel animosity towards me because of anything that I've said or I've done. I am not that person that I was before. But does that make it okay? No, because the damage is done. The pain has been felt. Either choose to accept it and say, I'm sorry. Ask for forgiveness. There's nothing wrong with doing that. At least you're acknowledging the problem. But you got to fix it. You've got to make it better. You've got to do better. And if you don't have time to do better now, you're going to come back and have to do it again. Am I okay with that? Fuck yeah. Why? Because I would rather have that happen where I get it right and I get it done so where I'm not causing problems again later. It's clean slate. So the whole idea of this podcast was, what is life? Why are we here? Why do we experience pain? Why do we go through these trials? Why are we going? Why are we even here? And as I said, for me, this has just been a learning lesson of, we hear about hell, we hear about heaven. Can we have heaven? Yes, we can. Are we going to experience hell? I believe that we are here already. This is our hell. This is our experience. We are living it day by day. It is a test of our will and our choices to do the right and to do better for not only ourselves but our kids. This is hell, man. We are experiencing it day in and day out, which is why you have people that cannot handle it and they choose to take the quick way out. I can't do this anymore. I'm done. Check it out. Fuck it. Because that's their choice. They can't do it anymore. And oops. Ultimately, that's what we have to understand. And a lot of people will never come to understand this because they are just going through the motions of life. They wake up in the morning, they go to work, they go to church, they go to school, they go do whatever they're doing about their life, and they repeat it over and over and over and over and over and over again. But for a lot of us who have come to understand and realize what is really happening in the awakening, there's that word again, the awakening of what is happening is actually transitioning, okay, for us in our lives. And we see it, and we know now. My job is to not sit here and bash this into your head and make you see this stuff. And this is with everything: ancient history, technology, deception, religion, spirituality, uh, life, health, the afterlife, reincarnation. Every aspect of what we've grown up to think that we thought was real is a lie. It's a deception. The truth is hidden in things that we have to search for. We have to find it. We have to look outside of those things that they told us is reality. Because ultimately, the only person who is going to save us is ourselves and each other. The people who are awake, who are realizing what is happening. We are trying to plant these seeds of look at everything. Understand there is something going on here. We're just trying to help you wake up. It's like Neo in the movie The Matrix. When he has this inkling, I've been searching for this person for so long. Is it a myth? I don't fucking know. It could be real, but something is telling me I need to look for it. I gotta keep searching. And they get a hold of him. And on his computer screen it says Neo. Goes away and it says, wake up. He's like, what the fuck? Then he goes to the club after those people are telling him, and it says, follow the white rabbit. He gets to the club, and this girl's telling him, hello, Neil. Like, how do you know my name? That's not important. The important thing is that I know why you're here. I know why you feel the way you do. I know why it is that you think about these things day in and day out. I know why it is that you feel like you're alone, but you're not. You're not alone. And I want to give you the answers, but I can't right now. And ultimately, the questions that you're asking is this real? And what I'm feeling real? Is me feeling the question of there has got to be something more to what this life is holding than what I've been told? This bullshit just doesn't make fucking sense. Yes, you're not alone. You're in the awakening. What is the matrix? What is life? What is the purpose for us being here? Why are we dealing with the things that we deal with? And just like in that movie, Morpheus tells Neo, I can't make you walk through the door. I can't make that choice for you. I can't tell you to do it. But if you're feeling this way, you're on a path that ultimately is going to lead you to your own decision of falling through the door. All I can do, and all anybody who has gone through the experience and realized this, is give you the little bits of information. You choose to do your own due diligence and your own research on your own. But what we're saying is that you're not alone. We're here for you. I can't make your choices for you. I can't make this decision to unplug from this matrix and this false reality for you. But I hope and I pray to the Creator that anybody who watches this podcast and who watches my past streams or any of the future streams till the time I'm gone realize and understand that this isn't a forceful action. This isn't something that is going to be like a oh, I'm telling you this, but ultimately it's going to open your eyes for you. That's not what's going to happen. You have to do it yourself. You have to do the awakening process. We are just helping you out and trying to guide you and steer you in a direction that is ultimately leading you to that path of walking through the door. But I have to tell you, once you come through this, your life will never be the same. It will never be the same. And it's not in a negative way. And I want people to understand that is that I see things now. I see the world in a different light. I see the world for what it really is. I question everything. I question narratives. I see it when it's happening. I'm like, this is ridiculous, dude. Like, you don't see that? You don't realize what's going on? You know? And I wish that people would understand what is really happening. In the world around us. We are being led like sheep to the slaughter. We have been deceived our whole lives. We have been tricked and duped into thinking that things are our free will and their choices. It's not. They are guiding us into a deception key of leading us to an ends to the means, means to the ends for them. Nothing is what we thought it was, folks. News doesn't matter. Celebrities talking about stuff doesn't matter. Musicians talking about things don't matter. If a musician has got a political view, you really need to stop listening to them. It's a deception key. Politicians. If these people really cared about us, if the government really gave a shit about any of us, things would change overnight. But it doesn't. It's been going on for years and years and years. It's a false narrative of security and stability and freedom. We're all free. These people can't bind me to who I am and what I choose to do and where I choose to say and anything I choose to act upon. I'm me. Do I live my life inside of the parameters to stay safe not only for my kids and myself? Yeah. But I know the bullshit when I see it and I understand it for what it is. I'm not going to be here forever. I'm not going to be around for a long time. And I understand that. Death comes for us all. We're born, we live, and we die. It's how we choose to live, how we choose to use the information that we're given in order to live our lives. So I know it was kind of a rant and a rave, I hope that whoever sees this, and if you're watching right now, I want to say thank you for being a part of this. It really means a lot to me because it means that those who are watching it are actually looking into what I'm saying because you chose to be here. There's a reason and a purpose for you listening to the things that you see and you hear and you watch. If it resonates with it. So I hope that whatever goes on in your future, that it resonates within you, that you follow your heart, you listen to your consciousness, your spirit, you, the real you, and you follow what it is telling you. Because ultimately, it's you trying to wake you up. It's you trying to say, hey, fucker, don't do that. This is not going to be good. This is going to hurt. This is going to cause pain. It's going to cause problems. But you're not alone. We're in this together. And if we could just bind together and we could pull together, and we could all see the bullshit for what it is, the better this world would be. It doesn't take people burning streets, burning cars, protesting and doing all this crap. It doesn't take all that. It takes us changing. It takes us understanding and realizing that we are not separated because of the color of our skin. We're not separated by the ideologies that define how we choose to worship and how we choose to see our religious outcomes. What it ultimately boils down to is this. We are all of us, a part of one whole collective consciousness, bits and pieces of the cosmic creator, bits and pieces of a thought process sent to live and experience this life together to help each other, to move through this, not to tear down, but to build each other up, not to shame each other, but to praise each other, to do the right things, to help one another. And if we could just pull together as one and stop letting these fucking people, these controllers, tell us what we should be doing, how to live our lives, that we are different. War is not the answer by any means. By any means at all. Those of us who have experienced it wish for peace every day. So I hope and I pray and I wish each and every one of you, those of you who see this, those of you who share this with your friends, those of you who share this with somebody that might be going through something to understand and experience what they are probably going through, you're worth it. You are you for a reason. Because you're special. You are a piece of the individuality of this, the universe, the creation, the essence of all that is. Your uniqueness defines what you bring to this world. And I love you because you're a part of this and we're in this together. So I hope and I pray that whatever path you choose to go down, that you realize that you are not alone. And if you ever need somebody to talk to, I'm here. There are so many others who are out there that are willing to discuss and talk and help. You're not alone. So with that, I'm going to say goodnight. I hope everybody has a great weekend. I will see you tomorrow night for our episode, hopefully around 7 o'clock, but we'll see how it goes. And remember, we're all in this together. We've got to do it. We've got to change, man. We've got to change. We can make it better. We don't have to sit back and wait for them to tell us what to do. We can do it. I'll see you. Good night. Take care of yourselves. Remember, always seek the answers. Seek the truth. It's out there. It's waiting. You're going to find it. I'll see you later.